Hi and good evening. Thank you for watching my Diverse Experience Cultural Immersion Project, Part 4. This presentation is about multiracial people group from that perspective by Cynthia Steven. My name is Cynthia Steven. I choose this group because I'm curious. I have seen, as a Jamaican, I grew up I would say in a diversity collective environment atmosphere. It's said that approximately 2.5 million um, is predominantly African, and these are multiracial group I'm talking about. And these groups are from like European, East Indian, Chinese heritage. And because our motto is out of many, one people, which is based on these particular groups or roots. Therefore, most of the time, I have my own little blind spot thing, when I think about multiracial people, it's mostly in these categories. So when I met Mary, who's an Hungarian African person, I said, it's interesting to know because I've heard her before. She expressed herself, and there's something about her that I would like to know more about her instead of assuming that I know. So that is the reason I choose it. She was born in Serbia, but considered Hungarian because her mom is from Hungary, and she was married to an African um, person. That's Mary's dad, and Mary takes pride in her parents, in her culture. She embraced both culture very much. So one of the first point is distinctiveness. What's so distinct about multiracial group? But before I go into that, I just want to make the listener be aware that sometimes others take for granted that the multiracial community faces what they face on a regular basis. It is observed, even among several classmates that are considered mixed races, to have shared some challenges they face, like identity problems, stress, racism, etc. Well, as a future counselor, I would like to be more knowledgeable, competent in the multicultural competency. I would like to know more about multiracial community as one of the groups, to better prepare to walk alongside clients in need of therapy. And for me, one of my desires is to be able to work with people of all racial backgrounds, because I would like to have a nonprofit organization in Jamaica. And so multiracial is considered people of mixed race heritage and are often, as I mentioned before, ignored, neglected, and considered non-existent sometimes. And we see that in educational materials, media portrayals, and psychological literature. So distinctiveness, let me quickly share with you some distinctiveness for the sake of time. First, until federally overturned in 1967, most U.S. states banned marriages and relationships between the white and um, non-white people. So many, this was a big problem. So now that has shifted, and so many multiracial population, individual find society want to impose a racial identity on them at times. But thanks to the biracial baby boom in the United States, which started in 1967 when the last law against race mixing was repealed. According to Thompson 2020, the U.S. Census reported that only 2.7% of the U.S. population is composed of people who identify with the origin of two or more races. But good news is that being multiracial and cultural is unique, and it is very much helpful when you can say, well, I know Malagasy, like my interviewee, she said she finds joy in that, knowing that she knows a little about Malagasy and she liked their food and she know about Hungarian culture and their food, their music. She shared that she enjoys both culture. So that's unique in this thing. And um, although they have challenges in society, they find that a lot of times they get support from several cultural communities as well. They are proud people, and so I find that very interesting as well. That's very interesting. So moving on quickly because I really want to finish within 15 minutes. This um I want to share with you the next point. This video is giving me, oh, yeah, particular challenges. What are some of the challenges multiracial people may face? Well, glad you asked. Again, they're sometimes ignored, neglected, and considered non existent. But since I've mentioned that already, they also experience prejudice. Let me quickly share with you. Mary, which is not her right name, she shared with me that growing up in school, even in Hungary, children used to call her dirty. They used to say, "Oh, you are so dirty," just because her color was dark. Um, they would say that things like that. Um, she considered them thinking that she's ignorant, um, and she described it this way: they see Africans as being less intelligent, and just like a monkey or an animal in some way, because she has also experienced when she was in her early 20s of another Caucasian European person that would mock her and act like a monkey, asking her if that's how the African or people sound, making animals sound, clicky sounds. And I noticed she emphasized that the sound that some African make, she finds it fascinating, and she's proud of it because that's who they are. But that doesn't mean that they're animals, which is a beautiful language. You describe it that God made. I find that very, very enriching too. She sees that as a beautiful language that God made. Maybe further explain that every minority group experience some level of prejudice, but it's like Africans have an extra layer. I want to point that out. She says that extra layer. Some whites view Africans as less than human, and it still exists today. So these are some of the challenges. You also some multiracial people also feel out of place where monoethnic people talk about their experience in a good way, but for a person who's multiracial, they don't even know how to express their experience because they're not a lot of times are not accepted in any of the culture that they're associated with. So they have racial identity invalidation challenges to a number of multiracial individuals experience racial identity invalidation, where people try to fit them into a monoracial box based on the way they look or how they behave. And of course, they have challenges in intermarriages still. Some families don't accept another culture. You have stereotypes, and you also have problems with the multiracial Bill of Rights. So these are some of the challenges that they face. And this particular one, the racial ethnic ambiguity. What are you? This is basically the question. I've listened to several videos on YouTube and other social media, and this is one of the overarching theme. All of them says that people just ask, "What are you?" It's that, where are you from? You know, yeah, I basically give it a name. Choose a race war. That's how I see it. This is my new word to this situation. Individuals who are coerced into um, you know, choosing a side, a race. And so this can be frustrating for people who are of multiracial backgrounds, and people wanted them to ascribe their identities to them. So individuals who have association with two or more worlds, want someone described, but do not belong fully to either. This can cause experience like adjustment disorder and identity problems. So these are some of the challenges, particular challenges that um, they face. Rolling on, what are some of the misunderstandings? Yeah, assumption that multiracial people does not belong in society. Again, who are you? It can sometimes come across aggressively too, as to say, I can't figure you out. So you need to tell me. Tell it to me. The perception that her dad was also not around was another misunderstanding because he was an African. So people used to ask her mom about him. Oh, what did he do? Did he leave you? You know, like they thought that he ran away, leave her mom, sing as a single mom when that wasn't the case. That was far from the case. They also consider her dad as a deadbeat. That's how Mary described or observation of people in Hungary, and just how they perceive him, and that was further from the truth because Mary takes pride in explaining that her father was loving, hardworking, connected, and proud. So these are some of the typical misunderstanding. Her parents were team player. She did. I summed that up. Team player. And so that's some of the misunderstanding. For last point, but not least, just want to stay right here for a few minutes. Therapeutic challenges and solution. The growing multiracial population has resulted in a need for professional psychologists to become knowledgeable about unique identity issues that may influence therapy with multiracial clients. So we have to be aware of these issues, and just be careful of our own biases, our own preconceived notions, and so do research, get to know your client. Don't assume that you know because you probably have a cousin that is multiracial. And I'm speaking from my perspective. This whole interview has shifted my whole perspective. Never you underestimate that you may have some bias, some blind spots there. Research has shown that there are unique matters faced by multiracial individuals, whereas identity development process differs in multiracial clients when compared to monoracial individuals. Monoracial individuals, they have somewhere to go. People most of the time accept, if not all the time, accept someone who is monoracial, African American, Asian, whoever. So it's different. It's a different process. So that's quickly the solution as counselors. Become more aware of your own stereotypes and preconceptions regarding interracial relationships and marriages and just individuals. When working with a client, do not assume their racial background or personal racial identity, um, allowing that to take control. Remain open to exploring the forces of oppression that they face and racism related to the client's experience as a multiracial person, right? The council can empower clients to take active part in formulating their own identity and be proud about it. Be proud about it. So be an advocate too. There are many ways of being an advocate. Be more involved in community outreach, resources. Um, Let your voice be heard. Advocate for Hungarian, for example, African. Um, and for me, my personal experience with this whole situation has been a blessing. Now I know my limited knowledge of and awareness and experience with multiracial, and I'm willing to learn. And I plan to immerse myself more into knowing um, um, be aware of the materials out there, and further studies, and future immersion across country trips,